Hello girls, once again we're returning to poetry, and today the poem that you should have in front of you is called The Sea by a man called James Reeves. And in this poem we're particularly going to be looking at metaphor. Now, can you remember what this literary device is? If you can, it's a metaphor, is a figure of speech which is used to make a comparison between two things. They aren't alike, but they have something in common. It's not my brother is like a pig, but my brother is a pig. So you are putting both ideas into your head, saying the one is the other, so that because they share certain characteristics. So we've got a very famous poem, The Highwayman. Many of you would have done it at primary school. The road was a ribbon of moonlight. So we're comparing the road, there's the road, to a ribbon of moonlight. And you can see it's because what they have in common is not the lovely silkiness of them, but the shape, that they're long and windy. And in this case, a ribbon of moonlight, it's the silveriness because the moonlight is shining on it. And then when we did the passage about Mount Vesuvius sits enthroned above the Bay of Naples. We've got the mountain, Mount Vesuvius, and the word enthroned is a metaphoric use of the word throne, enthroned, and it brings to mind a king when we say someone is enthroned. And so we're saying that this mountain is rather like a king. It is powerful. It is standing in authority above everything beneath it, has to obey it. And if you remember, that is in fact true of what happens to Pompeii and the Bay of Naples. Mount Vesuvius has all the power. Right, here's a poem, and I'm going to read it through. You can always stop this afterwards and go through it again slowly, and go through it again as many times as you like. But see if you can recognize the metaphor in the very first line. The sea is a hungry dog, giant and grey. He rolls on the beach all day with his clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. Hour upon hour he gnaws the rumbling, tumbling stones, and bones, bones, bones. The giant sea dog moans, licking his greasy paws. And when the night wind roars and the moon rocks in the stormy cloud, he bounds to his feet and snuffs and sniffs, shaking at wet sides over the cliffs, and howls and halloos long and loud. But on quiet days in May or June, when even the grasses on the dune play no more their reedy tune, with his head between his paws, he lies on the sandy shores, so quiet, he scarcely snores. There may be words in that you don't know. I've given you the one, which is rather an old-fashioned word, hellos. Like we get the word hello from it. It's to cry, to call, attract attention, or sometimes to call encouragement. If there are other words you don't know, look them up, learn them, add them to your own vocabulary. So the metaphor in the very first line, in the two things being compared, the sea is a hungry dog, giant and grey. He rolls on the beach all day with his clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. I'm sure you all got that, and it is, of course, the sea and a dog. But that is not my question. My first question is here. Describe the dog based on the first stanza. We've got the description of the dog in those lines. It's a hungry dog, giant and grey, rolls on the beach all day with his clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. Find 5 things about him. Your next question is this. Now, that description of the dog could equally refer to the sea. So, the sea is hungry, giant and grey, rolls on the beach all day, clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. Now, find it. How does the sea roll? And why the clashing teeth? What do you think those clashing teeth are? The shaggy jaws. What do you imagine? Why do they describe this dog as shaggy? What is it about the sea that is shaggy? And you've got the mood of the sea. We've got the words hungry, giant, grey, and you should be feeling something, an emotion, when you read those three adjectives. I want you to think about them. What do those three adjectives make you feel? What do you think about this sea? How is it making you feel? Just as a dog which was hungry, giant and grey, with clashing teeth and shaggy jaws, how would you feel? What is the mood of the sea in the same way? See if you can analyse the techniques. That's your challenge question. If you can't do that, don't panic. But some of you are quite good at poems. See if you can find what literary devices he's using with clashing teeth, shaggy jaws. Think about that and what he's using for rolls on the beach. Now the next line, the next stanza is, hour upon hour he gnaws the rumbling, tumbling stones. And bones, 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 the giant sea dog moans, licking his greasy paws. Now, we've got that picture in our head of a dog chewing a bone, haven't we? What is it? Why does the poet compare the sea to a dog chewing a bone? Think about what he might be chewing. And then, going on, what is the effect of rumbling and tumbling? What technique are we using there? What is happening with the rumbling, tumbling stones? And why does the sea moan? Moan. That is a lovely word. See if you can recognize the technique that has been used with the word moan. That would again be a challenge question if you can find that technique. Now, looking at that stanza a lot more, the sea is sounding very menacing. Menacing is a word for frightening. You can see my picture there, and I would find that sea quite frightening. Look at that. How hour upon hour he gnaws the rumbling, tumbling stones, and bones, 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 the giant sea dog moans, licking his greasy paws. This is a challenge question for those of you who are feeling a bit stronger in poetry. If you don't understand this question, leave it, but try it. What details in that makes us feel frightened of the sea? Always look at the poet's choice of words when you're asked a question like that. Why the word gnaws? Why hour upon hour? Why rumbling, tumbling? Why the repetition of bones, 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 bones? And we've got the word giant again there, and moans, and then this licking his greasy paws. Why would that be menacing? What is happening there? And why is it menacing? Think about it. Spend some time on that question. Now this one, And when the night wind roars and the moon rocks in the stormy cloud, he bounds to his feet and snuffs and sniffs, shaking his wet sides over the cliffs. Remember, this is a sea. We're talking about bounding and snuffing and sniffing, shaking his wet sides over the cliffs, and howls and halloos long and loud. Now, what is the weather like in this stanza? And what words tell us what the weather is like? In other words, how do you know? Can you find the words and think about the techniques that are being used with those words which show us what the weather is like? And how does the poet make the sea sound like a dog in this stanza? Give evidence from the poem if you can. And what technique is this? And I've got, obviously we've got the whole thing as a metaphor, but what technique is in the words snuffs and sniffs, and in the words howl, howls and hollows? Think of the techniques there. The final stanza is this one. But on quiet days in May or June, you can see the word but tells you there's a change of mood. But on quiet days in May or June, when even the grasses on the dune play no more their reedy tune, with his head between his paws, he lies on the sandy shores, so quiet, he scarcely snores. Now, how has the mood been changed? I told you straight away that it's the word but which introduces that change, but what other words show this difference in mood? Think of that. And the word dune, by the way, those are those sandy hills that you see behind a beach. You often get a stretch of sand and then the sea. But behind the stretch of sand or pebbles, you get hills of sand. And this is covered in grasses or reeds. And this is what we've got here, if you wanted to know what the grasses on the dune are. Plays no more their reedy tune. With his head between his paws, he lies on the sandy shores. And this last line, notice there's a pause, there's a comma, so we know we haven't finished the sentence, but there is a line gap between the lines. I didn't put that in, it was the poet who put that in. So quiet, he scarcely snores. Why do you think that last line is separated? And what is the mood at the very end of this poem? Right, ladies, now that is a lot of work for you to do. I've been through it quite quickly. The best thing I suggest you do is, as you play this back, that you pause. Every time I ask you a question, you might want to pause or rewind or replay, but I want you to think very carefully. The more detail you answer, the stronger your answer. If you can't do a great deal of detail, I don't want you to get stressed about it, but I want you to try. Right, now, once again on Wednesday, I will put up this same video clip, but with the answers in it, so that you can do some self-assessing and read your answers and see how well you did against what I was looking for. Thank you, girls, and good luck.